You are, I suppose, a young man from the traveller community in Cork. This is your first, I suppose, punch at local politics. What was the first thing that I suppose that really kind of drew you into it?
Well, I do a lot of work with NGOs. I work with the Irish Travel Movement at the moment, but I did a lot of community work with local projects in Cork City, and there's just a lot of discrimination between travellers in the set community. There's a lot of issues that I worked on in terms of education, accommodation. It's really hard locally, ever since the recession and all the cuts to the community sector, and like it was really people's lifelines, and the community where I'm from in Farnree, it's struggling at the moment. A lot of people are struggling to keep their head above water, and I just hope that I can make a voice within local politics to kind of maybe see if it can be changed.
Brilliant. I suppose one thing that's I suppose one of the key issues in Ireland at the moment is housing and homelessness. In your own area, are you seeing much of a problem in terms of homelessness, or what way is it down in Cork?
In Cork is after getting very bad. Like in the last 4 weeks, there was two young men died on the streets, so sleeping rough, and this shouldn't be happening in this day and age. And even an Echo released a story there about 4 months ago. There's 181 houses boarded up in my constituency, and the government the Cork City Council actually pay more to keep these houses boarded up than actually get people into them. There's 11,000 people on the housing list in Cork City. It's mind-boggling why these houses are left idle, and it's like antisocial behaviour within the area then, and these houses are getting vandalised, and every time they do up the houses then again, and it's because the waiting list between a house has been ready to give out and the process of actually doing it up and making it to a standard is so slow, and this is why, and it's a constant cycle there, so and then you have groups such as Reaching Out, which are helping me with my campaign, who do food runs 6 nights a week in Cork City, providing hot meals. But the local services such as Simon Community, such as Penny Dinners, are just overrun and overstretched in Cork City, and the government really needs to have a real look at having social housing on public lands, because that's what the state really needs.
Absolutely. So, what you've just said there is 181 houses boarded up. That does raise a lot of questions. What is the situation then there, I guess, then with, I suppose, traveller-specific accommodation, or even just accommodation for travellers in general?
Well, there's the travel accommodation plan that's coming up. It looks very hopeful, but again, travel accommodation is a big issue for the last 20 years, since the development of the travel accommodation programme in 1999, and the Travel Accommodation Act, which is the only legal obligation that the state has to deliver on anything got to do with travellers. And there's been 55 million unspent, unused, which is taken out of circulation, and the issue with that is that, like, if any county council actually acted with the money that they've been given sufficiently, and taken on board the TAPs, back in 1998, travellers wouldn't be in desperate situations that they're in now. And you look specifically at Cork City, you look at Spring Lane, it's the most overcrowded and it's the most health risk site. It's another Carrickmines waiting to happen. You look at the Straight Road, which is actually situated on a bog. And then you look up in my area where you have St Anthony's Park, which is a new development. However, there's people in Nash's Boreen that are living literally in third world conditions, and again are being used as a scapegoat because they're just outside the county bounds. But however, with the new extension in Cork, they're going to be within the city bounds. So hopefully Cork City will act on it, because I do know the family are in desperate need there, and the situation there is absolutely shocking. It's against human rights.
And I suppose just on that, I suppose over the last number of years, has there been much property development? Are you seeing the return of the cranes and that in the skyline in Cork, like we see in Dublin, or is it still slow to?
Business in the city centre is booming, which is a good thing to see Cork, and there is a bit of life back in Cork, particularly when you go to the shops in Hollyhill or down Blackpool. The people are getting back out to shop, but again, people are forgetting that there is a lot of poverty within the area. There's a lot of children waking up in hotel rooms. There's a lot of people waking up that can't or haven't got a hot meal before they go to school. And and it's very disheartening then to think that that's going on in this day and age. Like there's a lot of there's a lot of different organisations that do so much work in the north side particularly, and in the entire city, but it's not enough. The government's due to the cuts in the community development sector, it's been actually very disheartening, because what you see now is that youth long-term unemployment is at an almost high. It's at the highest ever, and like there's no youth services then to combat, to provide these young people with guidance and opportunities, because as you know, within the classroom the teachers can't do this kind of work because of the 30 plus students, and that individual attention is can't be given. And then you look at also within the classroom with the 18% of cuts that was given with guidance counsellors, that has not yet been restored, and then most guidance counsellors now have to pick up subjects within secondary schools just to keep a position, you know, and it's not fair on the individual person, but as a general, like, we can't be blaming our youth for the increase in antisocial behaviour. We can't be blaming our youth in terms of long-term unemployment, because it's actually the system that's failing them, you know.